Welcome to Organize Zen Now. My name is Janie Downey. Thank you so much for joining me here today. If this is helpful to you, please like below, please share, and please subscribe. When you subscribe to the channel, you can find me again easier. Maybe I can find you easier, and it helps other people find me on YouTube. So thank you very much. It's super important, and I appreciate your help. So Organize Zen is getting to your best work in a way that works really well for you and that you're not stressing out over and trying to match certain goals and do things in a certain way just because everyone else is doing them. But figuring out what's in your heart, what do you want to get done, and then figuring out a way to get it done. The Zen is a huge safety net in life to say, I'm in a peaceful spot and I feel good about what I'm doing. And when you feel that way, you feel joyous, you feel energized, and who doesn't need more of that? So I did a talk, my last talk was on the importance of community and how that helps you. And community may seem a funny stretch to you as far as how does that help you be organized, or how does organization lead you to community? And here's what I think is vital about community. When you're part of a big, strong web, if you think of like a group of trees together or a net that catches you, this is a series of strands. No one stands alone in this lifetime, right? So if you're part of a strong community, when one tree goes down, all the trees don't go down if they're part of a web in the forest. If one part of a web string breaks, the whole web doesn't break if it's all connected together. So community can be tricky for people. Some of us naturally are extroverts and we love to form community and to connect with a lot of different people. A lot of people are introverts and maybe connecting with a big group is tricky for you. So community is also how you define it. It doesn't mean your community is going to look like my community, but some community in your life will help you, protect you if something happens and goes wrong. Somebody's got your back. I would also say that it's fun to be with a group that you connect with, and we can be a part of a number of different communities. Some of them you're naturally affiliated with, like a family, a group of friends. Some you form out of interest. So I'm part of a theater community, and I'm part of a work community. So community can find a lot of different ways into your life. They're all super important. I started this thinking about community because we lost a friend from my high school last week. And she was a huge part of a lot of different communities. And when one person drops out, we all just feel this weird tug of like something's missing. And so I thought it was time to talk about community. So the community I'm going to talk to you about today is just a specific example. And this is a community that was formed by my stepson, Trevor Maxwell. So Trevor is a stage 4 colon cancer survivor, and talk about hitting a wall and then turning in a new direction. So Trevor is young. He was only 41 when he was first diagnosed. He was in shape. He's super active, super connected in communities, super tight with his family. Seemed like he had it all, always very athletic, but he was just feeling kind of run down. And he went in for a checkup, and they're like, I don't know, like you seem anemic. So they were like, could be something, you're bleeding somewhere. So they did a colonoscopy, super important to do. And he had this giant tumor in his intestines. So complete shock to find out that you have cancer at 41. And, but went in, did the operation. They thought they got it all out. And then it turned out it had already spread. So Trevor went from being a vital person in all of our lives and super connected with everybody to feeling like, how's he going to fight this? And he just kind of wanted to walk away. He just wanted to be, like the wounded animal in the woods that just goes off and just dies. And this went on for some time, and he was not connected. He was disconnecting himself from everybody. And his wife finally said, Sarah, she's just a rock, said, you know what? You can't do that. We're still here. You can't just walk away from us. So Trevor went from this desperate, I don't know how to fix this state. He had, it was in his liver. He had did liver surgery. They took out part of his thyroid, number of efforts. He was in chemotherapy, which just is awful. And it wasn't making him want to fight this, but his wife wanted him to fight this. So he started going to a group in Maine, and it's the Dempsey Center. Patrick Dempsey started it in honor of his mom. who had breast cancer. And the Dempsey Center is a free resource in Maine, and it helps people go and connect and build a community around the fact that they're sick, and they're sick with something that's really tricky, cancer. And so Trevor started going to the Dempsey Center, and super nice people, super helpful talks about, health and diet and meditation and just sort of the impacts of chemo. I mean, who else can you talk to about that, right? But other people that are going through it. And he looks around and he's just like, why am I the only guy here? And the women are like, we were wondering the same thing, because it's all women and they're all there and they're helping each other and they're sharing a lot of information. And Trevor's enjoying it, but he's just like, there's no guys here. So Trevor's a writer, and he's also a really good researcher. So he starts looking into the odds of surviving cancer. And women tend to survive cancer better. And there's no direct reason for this that he can see, except that if you are connected and the more information you have and the more you feel supported and the more you feel like you have options, you have a better chance, the mind over medicine factor. So he continues to go to the Dempsey Center. It's super helpful. He continues with all sorts of treatments and experimental treatments. He's alive, by the way. He's doing great. But it takes a lot out of you and your family to get there. But he's really depending on these people. And he's just like, again, what about the men? So instead of just saying, what about the men? Trevor decided to build a community, and it's an amazing community. It's called Man Up to Cancer. Their URL is manuptocancer.com. And what Trevor was finding, he was trying to just write. He was just trying to write about his experience, but he kept getting this sort of message from the universe of, you know what, reach out and connect, because it's making a huge difference to Trevor and how he's dealing with his cancer. And he's saying, gosh, there's other guys out there. I know you're out there. How can I help you? So he has built up now a huge network of people, and it's women and men, but it's Man Up to Cancer. And the basic premise of this is that, it's such a guy name, right? Man Up to Cancer. But what he's saying is you can still be a guy. You can still hunt and fish and write and talk business and be a guy, but talk about the fact that you're sick and talk about the fact that this is a super hard thing to go through. And then you have a group that then says, oh my gosh, are you taking this? Why did you try this? And when I did this, this helped for me. And the sharing of information is huge. Doctors are super helpful, but they don't know everything about everything. And finding other people that are specifically tied into the type of cancer that you have is just is a huge way to learn. It also is just a huge mental break for these guys, because they've lost a lot. They don't feel like the guys that they were before, but when they're back together, seeing Trevor and his friends that he's made through this group interact is huge. Trevor podcasts, you could search for him, Man Up to Cancer, his podcast. He talks to survivors, he talks to health givers, he talks to families. He's really trying to build the whole picture of what this community looks like. So he's built this amazing community, and then he also is on call with doctors that say, we don't know how to reach guys either, and how can we be talking, and what's actually super helpful. So Trevor has put himself out there to say, if you're dealing with this, I have resources for you, and I'll help connect you with the right places. So here's your activity for the week. If you know somebody who is dealing with cancer, reach out to them, and don't be afraid to talk about it. Ask them how you can be helpful to them. And if it's a guy, put them in touch with Man Up to Cancer. That one's pretty straightforward. Also, for an activity, I'm not even pulling a notepad out to work this week with you. Think about community in your life. This was the last exercise, and maybe I can link that up below. Where your community is, where it needs to be stronger, how you can build community. But also to look around you this week to think, is there something that I have been through that would be helpful to others? And can I build a community out of that? So community to me has always been this fun sort of side of life, to say, here's people I like to hang with. Here's people that I like to do things with. Is there some way that I have been through something tough? And how can I build community around that? part of my doing with this online is to build that community this way, to say, let's have discussions and let's get to some of the real stuff of life. So think about it in your life. How can you build a community? Hopefully you're never suffering like Trevor has suffered, but out of something, if something good can come out of it, that's the gift. All right, I'll leave you at that. Thank you, and I hope you have a super week.